After so much negative press about the motor company, finally, there is something to be excited about coming out of the motor company. In a interesting turn of events, CEO Johan Zites announces that he is retiring, and the CEO search for Harley-Davidson has begun. Let's talk about it. In the light of anemic sales numbers following the implementation of the Hardwire campaign by Harley-Davidson, with CEO Johan Zites at the helm, Johan Zites is calling it quits and has decided to announce his retirement. As a result, Harley-Davidson has embarked on a new search for a CEO. And it seems about right that this is the time that CEO Zites would be finding his golden parachute to make his exit from the company after the disastrous implementation of the Hardwire campaign at the motor company. For those of y'all who are not up to speed on it, Hardwire is the name of the company strategy that has been implemented by CEO Zites when he took the helm of CEO back in 2020, about 5 years ago. Back then, Hardwire was a bold new strategy for Harley-Davidson, abandoning the More Roads to Harley-Davidson campaign that they had previously adopted, in that they were trying to add more models, trying to generate more interest in the Harley-Davidson brand, trying to make the Harley-Davidson brand more inclusive to different types of motorcycle riders. Hardwire came in and immediately scrapped that, putting a lot of Harley-Davidson's eggs in the basket of electric motorcycles and canning some of their high volume, low profit margin models in favor of high profit margin models. The idea is that they were going to reinvent themselves into a premium motorcycle brand and maximize the value per motorcycle, the profit margin per motorcycle sold. This in turn has caused a lot of the Harley-Davidson prices on the motorcycles to go up and to, again, refocus themselves as a premium motorcycle brand, to the exclusion of many of the Harley-Davidson faithful who have bought Harley-Davidsons over the years. And adding insult to injury, Harley-Davidson, under the supervision and under the leadership of Johan Zites, adopted a lot of politically woke kind of ideology that did not resonate very well with the Harley-Davidson faithful at all, promoting a lot of things that Harley-Davidson, the majority of Harley-Davidson riders, people who ride and buy Harley-Davidson, did not agree with, and caused a lot of uproar and upheaval, including some sensational stuff such as people blowing up their Harley-Davidson motorcycles and a lot of people flooding Indian dealerships because they just didn't want to deal with the politics of Harley-Davidson. A lot of these moves have been befuddling, confusing, and makes you wonder why the motor company under the leadership of Zites would go this route. And finally, the boondoggle of electric motorcycles. Under Zites' leadership, Harley-Davidson invested tons and tons and tons of money into electric motorcycles that, quite frankly, the Harley-Davidson base did not want. So all in all, under the disastrous Hardwire campaign, we can see that Harley-Davidson sales figures are suffering as a result. Q4 2024 led to a loss in Harley-Davidson figures, and according to Harley-Davidson's own internal profit estimates, they are estimating that the next couple of years are either going to be flat or that Harley-Davidson will post losses. Now, they blame this on outside factors. They claim that a consumer lack of credit is to blame. They claim that the slowing economy is to blame. But really and truly, in my opinion, if you take a look at it, it's this disastrous Hardwire campaign that they have sunk all of their eggs, that they have sunk all of their resources into, that has in turn alienated a lot of folks that want to buy or ride Harley-Davidson or have ridden Harley-Davidson. This 5-year period has seen manufacturing go overseas to Thailand, and that some of the Harley-Davidson lines were being looked at to being moved to Thailand or being moved overseas for overseas production in an attempt to make the motor company more profitable. Anecdotally, you've seen some of the lines that have moved over there have had significant production problems. I've watched some people who have terrible problems with some of the models that moved over there on YouTube. They post their stories about it. And it's hair-raising, absolutely. So, since Harley-Davidson is so off course, how do we correct the ship? How do we get the ship back right again? How do we get this thing back on the track? So first of all, I think that since in April 2025, we've got a whole bunch of new tariffs, things like that going on. I think that Harley-Davidson moves their stuff back to the United States, move all their tooling and die and production back in the United States, That's what you're known for. That's your bread and butter. You produce American iron, and you should produce that American iron in America. And especially since there's tariffs going up, you want to have that stuff produced here anyway, so you can avoid the tariffs. A couple good things that have come out of Zites' leadership is the new engine investments that Harley-Davidson has made with the new Milwaukee 8s and the Revolution Max engines. Those are really cool. I like the engine investment, and that sets you up for the next generation of motorcycles. So that's a good point, but build off of that. Harley-Davidson would do well to immediately ditch the LiveWire. Nobody wants these motorcycles. Nobody wants an electric motorcycle in the Harley-Davidson faithful. I will say that, in my opinion. You're not going to be posting a lot of sales figures when you're marketing to Harley-Davidson faithful. And if you're selling less than 1,000 of these bikes a year, then maybe you ought to look at this particular business model and jettison it, especially since it's causing so much of a financial loss for the company. But I think you go back to the idea behind more roads to Harley-Davidson. You want to make Harley-Davidson a more inclusive brand, not for fringe political ideologies, but for people who ride motorcycles. You want this to be more inclusive for people to be able to afford and buy Harley-Davidson motorcycles. So that means getting away from chasing the high profit margin. That's concentrating on volume of sales, making bikes more affordable. That's what everyone in the comments section is commenting about this. Make Harley-Davidson more affordable. So if they chase that, really cut a lot of the waste in the production, make their production more efficient, find ways to increase volumes of sales and concentrate on sales volume, really dominate the market in that way and bring the cost of these bikes down. I think you're going to see a biker revolution, and you're going to see people flocking to the Harley-Davidson brand because they don't want to buy overpriced bikes, basically, at this point. But because Harley-Davidson has been going down this road for 5 years with Hardwire, it's going to be kind of hard to unwind some of these changes. It is going to take time to unwind some of these changes. And so people who are really fans of the company but are having a little heartburn with what's going on should be patient because, like I said, it's going to take some time to unwind these things. But this presents an amazing new opportunity for the company to be able to bring fresh blood and fresh ideas in here, but remain faithful to the core ideals of Harley-Davidson and to really understand the biker community that you're serving. Because there is an apparent disconnect with the biker community, with the upper leadership at Harley-Davidson right now as we sit today. So anyhow, those are just my random thoughts. What do you think? Is this going to be a good thing for Harley-Davidson, a bad thing for Harley-Davidson? What direction do you think that the motor companies should take? Post your opinions below. Would love to hear them. We'll discuss. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.